There are libraries popping up around the world where you can see the books breathe. You can watch the books blink, cry, laugh, and think. You can ask them any sort of question and get a real answer. At the Human Library, the books are people. It's set up just like a normal library. You check out a book for a certain topic and have an allotted amount of time with it. Only at the Human Library, the books are, well, a human. People who volunteer to become books make their experiences open and available, usually on discussions that people tend to have a difficult time discussing. Readers are encouraged to ask questions freely, and they'll get honest answers in return. It's brilliant. What kind of books can you borrow? Borrow a person with autism. With 1 in 68 kids diagnosed with autism today, there's no better way to learn about it than by interacting with someone who has it. Borrow someone who has a modified appearance. Ever make assumptions about people with lots of piercings and tattoos? Here's an opportunity to stop judging a book by its cover and get to know what's inside. Borrow a refugee and hear their story. You've heard about the Syrian refugee crisis in the news. Why not put the media on hold and talk to an actual refugee? Borrow someone who is transgender. Perhaps you've always had questions about being transgender but didn't know who to ask. Go ahead, get your questions already. Borrow a homeless person. What stories do they have of a life that you may never know? Borrow someone with deaf blindness. Just because they communicate differently doesn't mean their stories are less. Borrow someone who is obese. Society loves to put people in categories. Break through these boundaries. I said bake, Freudian slip, to get the full picture. You can borrow a police officer, a veteran with PTSD, a single mom, a Muslim, someone in a polyamorous relationship, a former gang member, a sex worker, a welfare recipient, a teacher. The list goes on and on. The libraries are bringing people who would otherwise never interact together in a way that many communities long for. That's why Ronnie Abergel has sought to do so since the library's launch in 2000. During a 4-day test run at the Roskilde Festival in Copenhagen, organizers and festival attendees were stunned at the event's impact. The policeman sitting there speaking with a graffiti writer, the politician in discussions with the youth activist, and the football fan in a deep chat with the feminist. It was a win-win situation and has been ever since. A non-judgment zone is one key to its impact. It's meant to be a safe space to ask different questions and not to be judged, he told Upworthy. To try to gain an important insight into the lives of someone you think you know something about, but you don't. In our quick-to-judge, increased polarized world, it's no wonder these events are growing in size. We need them. When asked what has changed since these events started, Ronnie responded, "The world has changed, for the worse." He points out that there's less tolerance, less understanding, less social cohesion than when he first started the idea back in 2000, and unfortunately he's right. When we have states discriminating against transgender people using the bathroom, presidential candidates campaigning to ban the entire religion from entering the United States, and countries still facing stigma of Ebola, it can be hard to want to high-five the community. There's so much to learn about one another. A group of readers has borrowed a nudist. It's time to face our fears and confront our stereotypes. To embrace the diversity of this world will allow us to feel more secure in it. When you meet our books, no matter who you are and where you're from or which book you're trying to read, in the end, inside every person, the result will say, we are different from each other. We see things differently and we live different lifestyles, but there are more things that we have in common than things that are keeping us apart. Truth. If there's one immediate impactful way to bring communities together, a human library might just be it.